In 1635, a man named Tokugawa Iemitsu solved the problem of political rebellion. Not with war, not with spies, not with executions, with travel. Mandatory, extremely expensive, ruinously costly travel. Iemitsu was the shogun, the military ruler of Japan. And he had a problem that every powerful leader eventually faces. 250 regional lords, each commanding their own army, each sitting in their own castle, each potentially thinking, "Why am I taking orders from this guy?" Lesser rulers executed their rivals. Iemitsu had a more elegant solution. He made them go on a road trip, every year, by law, with their entire army. This is the story of sankin-kotai, the policy that kept Japan peaceful for 250 years by making its military governors too broke to cause trouble. The year is 1635. Japan has just come out of a century of civil war. The Tokugawa shogunate, the new central government, has finally unified the country. And Shogun Tokugawa Iemitsu has a problem. He's the most powerful man in Japan. But across the country, there are around 250 regional lords, the daimyo, each sitting in their own castle, commanding their own armies, controlling their own tax income. All it takes is one ambitious lord, a few bad harvests, and a grudge. So Iemitsu does something quietly genius. In 1635, he makes it law. Every daimyo must spend alternating years in Edo, the shogun's capital, and their home domain. 1 year in Edo, 1 year back home, back and forth, every year, for as long as they live. And here is the part that matters. They cannot travel alone. A daimyo's procession to Edo was not a road trip. It was a moving army. Hundreds of retainers, samurai, servants, porters, cooks, doctors. The larger domains sent processions of 2,000 men or more. The roads had to be cleared for them. Townspeople knelt as they passed. It looked like a display of military power. It was actually a drain, because the daimyo paid for all of it. Every sword-carrying retainer, every horse, every night at every inn, every meal for 2,000 men, every single day of the journey. A mid-level daimyo spent somewhere between 50 and 70% of his annual income just on the procession. 50 to 70%. Gone. Before he even arrived in Edo. Once in Edo, the daimyo didn't get to relax. He was required to maintain a mansion called a daimyo yashiki in the capital. And when the daimyo went back home, his family stayed in Edo. His wife, his children, hostages essentially, though nobody called them that. If a daimyo ever decided to skip the procession, the shogunate noticed. So they didn't skip. They showed up on time, with 2,000 men, every year. Here is the math the shogunate did, and the daimyo couldn't ignore. A daimyo who spends 60% of his income on mandatory travel has 40% left. You cannot raise an army of rebellion on 40%. You can barely afford the army you already have. Now here's the part the shogunate didn't plan. 250,000 to 400,000 people traveling Japan's roads every year, on fixed schedules with predictable spending. That's an economy. The Takedo Road became one of the most economically active corridors in the world. Inns, restaurants, porters, craftsmen, money changers. The daimyo's forced spending built Japan's first national service economy. Towns that existed only because a procession passed through twice a year became prosperous merchant hubs. One policy designed to bankrupt the powerful accidentally created a middle class. The shogunate had engineered Japan's economy by trying to destroy its military. Sankin-kotai ran, with modifications, from 1635 to 1862. 227 years. Not one significant rebellion from a daimyo. The system broke down only when Japan's economy collapsed under the cost of maintaining it. When the shogunate finally tried to reduce the burden, allowing lords to send fewer men, it was already too late. The lords used the savings to build armies. Within a few years, the shogunate was gone. The moment the shogunate stopped bankrupting its generals removed the shogunate. Which, honestly, is the most on-brand ending possible. If you want to know what happened when those generals finally had enough money, and how Japan went from feudal isolation to a world power in 30 years, that's the next one. Subscribe. You won't want to miss how this ends.